In this picture, we see figure versus ground. Clearly, the snowflake is the figure, and the school in the background is the ground. Here we see proximity. Since Jen is sitting so close to Liam, you assume that they're friends and that they're studying together. This is an example of similarity. Everything on this shelf is similar except for the trophy, which stands out. Everything else, the snow globes are all similar to each other. So we group them together. Here we see continuity. You see it as one continuous ribbon opposed to two different shapes at the top mixed with two squiggly things at the bottom. Here we see connectedness. Instead of seeing 8 different circles and 4 different rings connecting the circles, we see 4 handles on the dresser drawers. Here we see closure because we see all of these different shapes in moving in circular motions, but we don't see just those shapes. We see it as a full volleyball. This is linear perspective. As you look down the hallway, it looks as if the ceiling is getting closer and closer together. In actuality, it's not. It's the same width apart, but since we have linear perspective, we see it as getting closer together as it is further away from us. Here we have interposition. Clearly you can see the flowers first, which is the closest thing to us. Then you can see in the background, behind the flowers is a picture, which is filled in by closure, and, well, the picture frame. And then behind the picture, you can see the wall. So you can tell that the flowers are the closest to us, the picture is behind the flowers, and then the wall is behind the picture. This is an example of relative height. Clearly, the first thing that you see on your retinal field are the blankets on my bed, which means that that's the closest thing to me right now. Next, you see the hamper with the clothes in it, which is a little bit higher up on my retinal field, which means it's further away. Lastly, you see the doorknob on the door, which is the highest on my retinal field, which means it is the furthest away from me right now. Here we have relative size. In this picture, clearly the Valentine's Day balloon takes up more space on our retina than the picture of the minions in the background. This means that the balloon is closer to me than the picture of the minions in the background. This is an example of shape constancy. You can see my phone is rectangular in shape. As I rotate my phone, it doesn't change shape. We still see it as a rectangle even though we're seeing it from a different perspective. Here we have an example of size constancy. In the first picture you can see the trash barrel seems smaller, but in comparison to everything else seems a normal size, and as you move closer the trash barrel appears to become larger even though we know that the trash barrel doesn't change in size. Here's an example of brightness or color constancy. In the first picture, I took the picture with the lights on in my room. The color of my walls is clearly a light blue color, and the color of the shades is a hot pink. When I turn the light off, the colors do look a little darker because there's no light reflecting on them, but we still perceive it to be a light blue color on the walls and a hot pink color in the shades. We do this because we know that color is constant, and even though it looks a little different in the pictures, we know that it's the same as before.